Hello and best wishes to you all. First of all, I'd like to apologise for my absence on YouTube over the last several months. I don't really have a good excuse, but I'm back now and I have several videos planned for the coming weeks. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. Today we're going to be focusing on the man, the myth, the legend, the connoisseur of everything, Cilan. As you know, Cilan wore many hats throughout the series. He was a metro connoisseur, a detective connoisseur, I believe he was also a movie connoisseur. And today we're going to dive into some of his best moments in the anime. So, let's get into it. This is the top 5 Cilan episodes/moments from the Pokémon anime. Number 5. Triple Leaders, Team Threats, / Dreams by the Yardful. Okay, so I'm starting off with a bit of a cheat here, but technically this is a 2-part episode, so forgive me. Cilan makes his debut in the anime in the episode Triple Leaders, Team Threats. This episode also features Ash's first gym battle in the Unova region, as he challenges Cilan along with brothers Chili and Cress for the coveted trio badge. This of course marks Ash's first step on his journey towards the Unova League. However, it is also an important moment for Cilan. When we are first introduced to him, Cilan comes across as extremely confident, bordering on arrogant, and his attitude seems somewhat condescending. He calls Ash's Oshawott a letdown and refers to his Pansage as the best battler in the world. Now admittedly, he is an A-class connoisseur, meaning his knowledge of Pokémon surpasses most, but it seems as though he could do with being taken down a peg or two. His battle against Ash is a real turning point for our favourite Pokémon connoisseur, for it is through battling Ash and witnessing Cress and Chili do the same, that Cilan realises relationships between trainers and their Pokémon run so much deeper than he previously thought. Cilan's experience had taught him that the fundamentals were key to success in battle, but through facing Ash he is given a live demonstration which proves otherwise. Ash utilises his trademark off-the-wall style and overcomes the odds despite a clear type disadvantage. This greatly impresses Cilan and forces him to re-evaluate everything he thought he knew about the connection between trainer and Pokémon. So much so in fact, that he decides to leave the gym in the hands of his brothers and follow Ash on his journey. Whilst this might not have been Cilan's greatest battle, it makes this list as the result of the battle is what led to him travelling with Ash and Iris, completing our best wishes trio. Number 4. A Home for Dwebble. If there's one thing that makes me kind of sad when it comes to Cilan, it's how few Pokémon he captured during his time on the show. In fact, Cilan only obtained 2 Pokémon in the 100+ episodes he appeared in. Technically he also caught a blue-striped Basculin during the fishing competition in Castelia City, but he did not keep this after the competition was over. Thankfully, the Pokémon Cilan did have were all very memorable. The first Pokémon Cilan captures in the series is a Dwebble. In the episode A Home for Dwebble, the group encounter this bug and rock type Pokémon trying to find the ideal rock to fashion into its new home. Unfortunately, shortly after the perfect rock has been found, this is stolen by a gang of other Dwebble. Not wishing to stand back and allow such injustice, Cilan vows to help Dwebble get its home back. At first, Dwebble is reluctant to trust the group. It lashes out and Cilan's Pansage is injured. However, watching Ash, Iris and Cilan and their Pokémon work together to treat the injured Pansage helps to convince Dwebble that their intentions are pure. Cilan clearly demonstrates how much he cares for his Pokémon. Cilan then devises a plan to help reclaim Dwebble's stolen shell. After successfully outsmarting the thieves and getting its home back, Dwebble decides it wishes to go along with Cilan on his journey. It's a real feel-good moment. Not only that, but it showcases a much warmer and more compassionate side to Cilan when compared to the somewhat cocky young man we meet at the Stratton gym. The two prove to be a great match for each other. Number 3. Cilan takes flight. Interactions between gym leaders in the anime are normally fairly limited. However, battles between gym leaders are even more rare. That's just one of the reasons that the episode Cilan Takes Flight from Season 15 stands out. In this episode, we are introduced to the Mistralton City gym leader, Skyla. We quickly learn that not only is she a gym leader, but Skyla also has aspirations of becoming a world-class pilot. Unfortunately for her, battling a constant string of gym challengers affords her little time to practice her flying. In an attempt to lighten her load, Skyla has come up with a concept that she refers to as air battles. Instead of having a real battle, she believes she can predict the way a match will play out just by seeing her opponent's Pokémon. She then plays the battle out in her mind, determining the outcome based on type matchups. Ash is unhappy with this, as he had been looking forward to a competitive battle, but Cilan is positively outraged. As a gym leader himself, he is offended that Skylar would treat her position with such a lax attitude. He states that it is impossible to know how a battle will play out purely based on type matchups, as there are so many other factors to take into consideration, such as the connection between trainer and Pokémon. Skylar remains adamant that her air battle system is foolproof. Determined to prove his point, Cilan challenges Skylar to a real Pokémon battle, stating that there is no way of knowing how a battle will play out without actually having one. In addition to teaching Skylar a lesson, Cilan hopes that she will consider granting Ash a real battle against her to earn his flight badge. Not only does Cilan demonstrate his desire to stand up for his beliefs, but he also shows his willingness to help his friend, as he knows how much battling Skylar means to Ash. Unfortunately for Cilan, he comes up short against the flying type specialist. Despite this, however, Cilan's act was not for naught, as Skylar begrudgingly gives Ash his gym battle anyway, after being convinced to do so by her grandfather, the former gym leader. Whilst it was a losing effort for Cilan on this occasion, this makes the list, as it is a great example of his willingness to stand up for what he believes in. Number 2. Cilan vs Trip, Ash vs Georgia. This episode takes place early on during the Nimbasa Battle Club tournament. The first round brackets reveal a matchup between Cilan and Ash's rival Trip. At this stage in the series, Ash and Trip had already faced off on 3 separate occasions, with the latter emerging victorious every time. Suffice to say, Trip had been built up to seem like a formidable opponent, being undefeated in all his previous appearances up until that point. In this episode, commentator Freddie O'Martin even points out that Trip successfully defeated Cilan's brother Chili at the Stratton Gym to earn a trio badge. So there is added pressure on Cilan to prove his worth as a gym leader as he faces Trip himself in this opening round contest. Trip chooses Girder, while Cilan opts to use Dwebble. Girder is clearly the more experienced of the two Pokémon, as it had been training with Trip since it was a Timber and had subsequently evolved. Not only that, but it turns out Girder is extremely proficient at using its Steel Beam, both to dodge and to attack. In the beginning, it seems Cilan and Dwebble are fighting an uphill battle. There's a further sense of urgency when Girder's Rock Smash creates a crack in Dwebble's shell. However, Cilan remains cool and collected despite the rising odds. He delivers one of his signature evaluation time moments, where he compliments both Girder on its strength and technique, and Trip for raising it so well. However, he vows that he and Dwebble will emerge victorious. As it transpires, Cilan has a plan. He orders Dwebble to use Shell Smash, lowering its defense but increasing its offensive power. Cilan then deals the finishing blow, commanding Dwebble to use Rock Slide and bury Girder under a pile of rubble. This is certainly one of Cilan's best battles in the anime. It wonderfully demonstrates his ability to keep calm and focused under pressure. This also marked Trip's first loss, a pretty significant event considering how strong a trainer he had been built up to be. Sadly, Cilan found himself knocked out in the next round of the tournament. Even so, this match right here proved exactly why Cilan is an A-class connoisseur and a Stratton City gym leader. Number 1. Cilan and the Case of the Purloine Witness. Honestly, picking an episode to go in this number 1 spot was really tough. Ultimately though, I chose this episode as I feel it really captures the essence of why I love Cilan so much. Whilst touring the Decalor Islands, Ash, Iris and Cilan decide to participate in the Marine Cup, which is taking place on board their ship. Waiting for the tournament to start, Porter introduces the trio to Mrs. Ripple, a famous gem collector in the Unova region. Porter tells them that there will be a special exhibition showcasing Mrs. Ripple's prized collection after the tournament is over. Mrs. Ripple treats the gang to a sneak peek, showing them the famed Swanna's Tear, Lilligant's Bloom and Star of Cryogonal. Finally, she presents her most prized possession, the Eye of Leopard. It is explained that this stone is extremely valuable, as it is the largest of its kind. Another collector named Mr. Shaw is also on board, and he is extremely keen to buy the Eye of Leopard from Mrs. Ripple. However, Mrs. Ripple makes it abundantly clear that the stone is not for sale. Mr. Shaw does not take kindly to this, stating that once he has his eye on something, he has to have it. The Marine Cup tournament gets underway. As Ash is facing off against a trainer named Teak, the power is knocked out. This includes the lights and the surveillance cameras in Mrs. Ripple's cabin. During this time, the Eye of Leopard is stolen. With this precious gem missing and the culprit still on board, there is only one man who can solve the case: Detective Connoisseur Cilan. The obvious suspect is Mr. Shaw. After all, he had previously tried to buy the gem from Mrs. Ripple and had vowed to make it his, even after she refused to sell it to him. On top of this, the security camera footage from Mrs. Ripple's cabin shows Mr. Shaw standing over the case which holds the prized stone collection. Iris believes this is sufficient evidence to prove Mr. Shaw guilty. However, Cilan states that because the footage does not show Mr. Shaw taking the stone, and given that no trace of the jewel has been found amongst his belongings, there is a chance the culprit is someone else altogether. Cilan questions others on board the ship. Whilst questioning Teak, the trainer who faced Ash in the Marine Cup, Mrs. Ripple's purloine begins to growl. It seems to distrust Teak, as it previously attacked him after the tournament. Cilan, who has an unexplained fear of purloine, begins to wonder whether the power failure, which happened during Teak's battle with Ash, and the disappearance of the Eye of Leopard, could be connected. However, Teak was of course involved in the tournament at the time the stone was taken, and so explains there is no way he could have been involved. A water stain on the carpet in front of the jewel case leads Cilan to believe a Pokémon may have been the one who committed the theft, likely an ice or water type. Cilan eventually deduces that Teak is in fact the thief. Even though he created the seemingly perfect alibi by participating in the tournament, Cilan recalls that Teak used a Vanillite in the opening round of the Marine Cup, before switching to a Galvantula. Cilan theorises that Teak had Galvantula deliberately caused the power failure, and, while the lights were out, sent Vanillite to steal the jewel. Teak admits to being the thief and attempts to escape, but is thwarted by police aboard the ship. It transpires that Teak is actually a wanted gem thief. This episode showcases Detective Connoisseur Cilan at his very best. If things hadn't worked out for him as a gym leader, I'm pretty sure he could have found work as a full-time detective. I also love the fact that they referenced his fear of purloine, something which was first established way back in the first season of Black and White. Speaking of which, the ending of this episode is just perfect. Ash suggests that perhaps solving this case might have helped Cilan conquer his fear. Cilan says he wouldn't go as far as to say he was cured. When Ash and Iris ask why Cilan is so afraid of purloine, we the audience don't get to hear the explanation, just Ash's horrified gasp. I guess we'll never know. And that's it, my top 5 Cilan episodes / moments from the Pokémon anime. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please consider giving this video a like, consider subscribing, and comment below and let me know what you'd like to see next. Some of these videos are scripted, some of these videos are not scripted. I'd be curious to see what you prefer. But yep, I'll be back real soon, and until then, best wishes.